Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast Rise and Tell with Sheekha. I am your host, Sheekha Singh. Our guest for today is Michael Dillard. Michael's journey from poverty to becoming a US diplomat offers a very compelling narrative on resilience and transformation. I had so much fun in this episode. Michael's energy speaks for itself, and he had so many tips. Michael inspires professionals using two systems: LEAD, which is lead with impact. It's a leadership framework to reduce burnout, build trust, and develop high performing teams. And Savor, it's a five-step financial blueprint to stop living paycheck by paycheck and to start building generational wealth. His insights on the lead and the Savor system is 100% tried, and I implement some of those myself as a leader and as someone who is interested in being financially free. And to tell you a little bit about Michael, he has overcome a lot of obstacles in his life. He has been a US diplomat, traveled tons of countries, and now he's a life coach. Plus, he helps everybody on financial values and financial literacy. He emphasizes leadership and helps people get rid of that burnout. He has strategies to overcome personal and financial obstacles, and he draws inspiration from his own journey and a lot of other insights. I absolutely enjoyed asking Michael all these questions, and I hope you're going to enjoy it too. His story is filled with grit and actual real world strategies, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I know I'm going to implement some of these tips and I hope you're going to. So let's not waste any time and let's get started. So there you go, everybody. We have with us today Michael Dillard. Welcome to our show, Michael. It's a pleasure to have you on our show.
I am excited to be here on the show. I've heard so many great things. I know the listeners are in for a treat after today's conversation. Their life will be forever changed.
Awesome. Let's get to it. All right. So, Michael, I've read everything about you and it's so impressive. I will want you to start off by telling us and our audience, where do you get the strength and the courage from?
You know, to be able to be resilient, it comes from the fact that a lot of times in life, we all get knocked down. At some point in time, something's going to happen. You're going to trip. You're going to fall. You're going to lose something. Sometimes you might lose your wallet. Sometimes, you might be driving down the street and you might hit a pothole. The one thing I've learned is that things happen in life. But what President Nelson Mandela said, don't judge me by my success.
Right.
Judge me by how many times I get back up when I get knocked down. And that's what it's about. Listeners, when you get knocked down, are you willing to get back up? Another thing, Les Brown, he said, if I fall on my back,
Right.
I can look up so I can get up. And that's the focus. Hey, no matter what, if you fall on your back and you can still see up, that means that you still have another chance of succeeding.
Awesome. That is so nice. Okay, Michael, tell us, what's your story?
My story is one of, it's a combination of everything. I mean, it's resilience. It's a story on leadership, on overcoming burnout and having a strong mindset. My story is this. Imagine this. My mom had me when she was a teenager. Picture this, a teenager raising a child.
Right.
And then she went on, she tried to make the nice, happy family. It didn't work. The parents, they ended up separating. My parents got separated. And then my mom found herself raising three boys by herself. We were, struggling financially. We would wait every month, waiting on the mail lady to come like she was Santa Claus to deliver $200 in food stamps, because that's how we were going to be able to eat for a
Right.
week or two, and then our stomachs would growl for the next 2 weeks while my mom tried to make ends meet. But
Right.
thanks to a program called Upward Bound for me, I became the first person in my family to graduate from high school. Picture that. Walking across the stage, making my family proud.
Right.
Then, because of Upward Bound, I went on to get a college education, another accomplishment, another roadblock
Awesome.
unturned. You know what they say? Education is the key to success. And for me, education was the key that opened so many doors that
Right.
was once locked to me as a young boy.
Yep.
In between time getting my degree, when I graduated from high school, I did join the army. I got my money to get the GI Bill to help pay for college. And during the time when I actually finished graduating from college, I said, this is what life is about. Life is
Right.
about setting goals.
Right.
It's not about how fast you get there. It's about taking one step, one action at a time until you reach your dreams.
Right.
So that's part one of my resilience story. Part two,
Mhm.
yes, more things kept happening to me. Can you believe it? Part two, graduate from college,
Right.
thinking I'm going to be making $50,000, $70,000 a year. And I was told that, Michael, you have no experience. Imagine that. Imagine the feeling, the hurt of going to school for 4 years to get a college degree and you still can't get a job.
Yeah.
I saw an internship being offered at a local bank because I wanted to work in finance so bad. I decided to take a pay cut to get the internship, making less money.
Right.
The internship was only for 6 weeks for the summer. I applied, I got it. 6 weeks later, internship was over with. I said, okay, now I have the experience, but can I get a job?
Right.
Sure enough, the company offered me a full-time job, making more money with more benefits. That's why they
Yay.
say in life, yes, yes. Sometimes in life, you got to take one step back to go
Yep.
2 steps forward. Let me repeat that once again, folks. I took a pay cut. I went back, but then the pay raise, the experience I got propelled me 2 steps forward. So now life is good. I'm making good money. And then I got laid off. My wife is pregnant. I'm like, how am I going to pay the
Oh.
bills? What's going to happen? The economy is during the mortgage crisis. But fortunately, something that we'll talk about later, I had a financial system that I put in place. You see, I had life insurance that I bought outside my workplace. I have
Right.
money in my 401k. So I was doing all the right things to create a strong financial foundation.
Right.
But all of a sudden, I was unemployed on a Friday and became a U.S. diplomat on a Monday, traveling the world for over
Wow.
15 years, country after
Wow.
country after country. So that's why I tell people when you get knocked down and you can look up, you can get up.
Wow. Well said. Okay. I am curious to know how that happened. How do you go from a finance job to being a US diplomat?
You know, Sheikha, more to the story, right? As you keep peeling the onion back. I was working at Dell Computers. I was making money. I was making lots of money wearing flip
Wait,
flops.
you said Dell?
Yes,
I
yes,
worked at
Dell.
Dell too. Oh,
Oh,
nice.
you
Okay.
did?
I did.
Okay. I know you was in IT, so I wasn't sure when I say Dell, you could be like, that's where you were working? I
Yeah.
was working at Dell Computers wearing flip-flops. You know how it is,
Mhm.
shorts and t-shirts, making good money. Every
Right.
quarter they would feed us, make sure we're hitting the numbers, talking to our small and medium business customers. But something I started to notice that the price of a computer,
Right.
it wasn't $2,000. All of a sudden, they were selling it for $1,500. Then they were selling it for $1,000. And I started thinking, I said, how long are they going to keep these prices before they start dropping them?
Right.
It was at that time where the personal development book hit me. Here's what it said. It said, Michael, you got to go back and get your master's in accounting so that you can work at Dell's biggest headquarters. You got to go work at the big headquarters in Texas working for Dell. I was like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm making good money. It was like, okay, do you still use VHS tapes to watch movies?
Mhm.
Nah, that's old. Okay, do you listen to cassette tapes when you're driving down the street?
Yeah.
No, I listen to CDs. Now
Right.
I'm telling on myself, right? Because people are like CDs, like, what is that?
Right, I
Thank
know.
you. Technology changes all the time.
Yeah.
So it was at that point in time, I said, okay, it's time for me to go and get my master's in accounting. See, I had an MBA in personal finance, but I wanted to work in the corporate headquarters,
Right.
crunching
Right.
all the numbers at the big office. I get my college degree, my master's, and I started applying for jobs at the moment. Of course, right after I got laid off from Dell,
Right.
and I was applying for job after job after job after job. Month one, no job. Month two, no job. Month three, no job. Sheekha, can you imagine? So I had
Damn.
a job offer to go interview to be an assistant store manager in the mall. My wife is pregnant and she like, nah, don't take that job. I like,
Right.
we need more money. The money in the bank account from savings is nice, but it's starting to go down. I
Right.
said, nah, something else is better. Something else is greater is coming for you. So I go to that interview and now picture this, y'all. Picture this. While I'm in there interviewing for the job, my wife is walking around pregnant with her stomach showing, praying, I don't get the job.
Right.
What type of spouse does that? Huh? Who
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
that? I aced the interview. I'm excited. Next morning, I wake up, I check my emails, and I see this job offer. It says job interview to go to Washington to DC to
Right.
interview to be a financial controller. It said you need to have a top secret security clearance and you have to pass a medical background check. I'm like, what type of job is this? What is this? So I searched United States Agency for International Development, financial controller. And as I read the descriptions, it says that you will travel around the world as a U.S.
Mm.
diplomat representing
Ooh.
the U.S. taxpayers. Sheikha, I
Wow.
accidentally applied to become a U.S. diplomat and didn't know it until I got the job interview because I was applying for any and every job. When you're unemployed after 2, 3 months, you just start firing off those job
Yeah,
applications.
yeah. Wow, but that's awesome though. That is so cool. Wow. But I am glad your wife is praying that you wouldn't get that job because I think, everything happens for a reason. And here you are
Yes.
talking about that wonderful time. I mean, not time, but wonderful story. That's so nice. Okay. I am interested, Michael, to know how did you come up with the saver system and the lead system? And if you were to, I will let you explain that, but after that, I have a follow up question on young leaders. So, yeah, I'll let
Okay.
you answer that.
What I noticed after coaching people for, over 20 years is a pattern started to show up. A
Right.
lot of times we have leaders who are burnt out, they're they're tired, they run into some basic leadership problems that I've seen that are easy to fix, but they're struggling. And the
Yeah.
reason why they're struggling is that, yeah, the leadership training that they took, it was for a week.
Yeah.
2 months later, they're dealing with a real situation and
Correct.
they forgot their leadership training that they took 2 months ago. And the reason why is that they need a system that's easy to implement. And so I came up with the LEAD system. L stands for listen,
Hmm.
E stands for empower, A stands for adapt, and D stands for develop. So you want to lead with impact. A short version is this: there's two managers.
Right.
It's Friday. You're going out on a vacation trip with your family for the weekend. And one supervisor says, "Oh, okay, you're going out with your for the weekend with the family, okay." And then the other supervisor hears the same conversation that you're going out for, vacation. Okay, you come back in the office, and one supervisor says, "Oh, we got this deadline. I need you to finish this report. We need to go ahead and send it out, Sheikha." So it's like, "Oh, okay, all right." You hurry up. You're like, "Man, I just got back. Okay, let me hurry up and knock it out." But imagine that you had a supervisor by the name of Michael Dillard, right? He says, Sheikha, how was your vacation? How was your trip? How
Yeah.
was time with your family? What did y'all do? Oh, okay. I come back. Sheikha, we have this important deadline. There's a report that's due. Do you mind taking time to set aside and make this an urgent and priority task for today and go ahead and
Right.
knock it out? Which supervisor or leader do you relate to more?
The second one, for sure. Definitely.
Listening. You see, it's simple, right? But listen, empower. A lot of times supervisors are upset because they give their employee a task and then they're upset because the employee can't finish it. But here's what they fail to do. Take a look and do an inventory of all your employees, right? Imagine
Right.
this grid. Okay, in the corner here is 0.
Right.
Go up here to 10. 10 is motivation. So start at 0 and go up here to 10 to motivation. Down here at 0, you go out here to 10 as far as knowledge, corporate culture, understanding. Okay.
Okay.
Now start to grade each employee based upon that. And now you're
Mm.
going to see that you've been trying to empower the employee who's motivated at a 10, but they're 2 on cultural understanding. They're 2 on policies. So they don't know how to do the work, but
Right.
you're frustrated with them.
Right.
But if you give it to the employee that's over here in the far right box, who's a 7 in motivation and a 7 in cultural knowledge policies,
Right.
you can get that task to that person with little follow up. That's just
Correct.
a short example. In my workshops, I normally go through and give more examples and
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
And then adapt. Because guess what? We're not listening to music on cassette tapes no more, right? We're not doing it, right? We're
True.
not.
True. Yeah.
So you got to change your leadership style, your expectations as well,
Yeah.
and the way you do the work. Leaders, you have to adapt. No more sitting behind the typewriter on a piece of paper, typing and pecking. Those days are gone. You got to adapt. No, you got to adjust.
Yep. AI,
D,
especially in the world of
AI
AI.
especially, right?
Yep, yep, exactly. And when I know I'll continue after you finish the D. I'll let
Wait.
you. I'm
Okay.
excited.
D is develop your employees. You know why, Sheikha? The employees are a company's most prized asset. Because
Yeah,
yes, AI is coming, but you still need a human's touch, right? You still need
correct.
that human touch. And the way you can measure a leader is how many leaders did they develop?
Correct.
That's the lead with impact framework. So I'll pause before I talk about the financial issues that high performing leaders face and why I developed the Saver system.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add another comment there. With the first example that you gave, that is so relevant even in today's world. So I work in a 100% remote setup. So our company is completely digital and there's no office, there's no building, but we work with clients and everything is 100% remote. And even then, like I've noticed, all day you're just talking to people, looking at their small, the screens and their videos, and it's still lonely, even though your video is on, audio is on, whatever, your meetings and calls and huddles and meetups, it's still lonely. And I see our team's faces light up when I ask people about their vacation. We have a person on a team, and this engineer, he goes every year on a trip to Europe and he does like 100 kilometers of just cycling, and it's a race.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's so many others who have such fun hobbies and go on great trips. And it's like, one, you have to try to make them talk. Like, don't
Yes.
just, it's so easy to ignore it and be like, okay, we only have 30 minutes, let's talk work or let's talk business. But if you take that one thing, like, okay, this person is going to be out next week, are you doing anything fun? Or is there a fun trip coming up? Or if they, like you said, when they came back from vacation, how was it? What did you do? Can you share pictures? So I think it's so relevant even today where everything's virtual. Just like, I would have loved to meet you in person and have this interview in person, but here we are virtual. And still, yeah, that makes so much sense. And the other example that you said, adapt, 100% agreed with the pace at which everything's going right now. If we as leaders do not adapt, or even as regular people at workplace, if we don't adapt, then I have no clue how we are going to even keep up with everything that's changing. And it's so, like, I get the era. My CEO the other day was saying, we were in a meeting and he said, I remember the 2000, Y2K thing and everything went
Yes.
down. And he said, oh, the internet era and all that, people didn't think it's going to be that big, but here we are, and we're telling you the same about AI. Like, if you don't learn it and if you don't keep up with it, somebody else who knows how to use it is going to take your job. AI is not going to take your job. So it's like, okay, adapt, and that human touch. 100% agreed. Thank you, Michael. Okay.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. So the saver system, how does
Saver
that work?
system. So, people kept saying, wow, Michael, you overcame being unemployed when during the mortgage crisis. Like, how did you do it? So I was providing a lot of financial advice. I have my MBA in personal finance. So I help a lot of young professionals. And I realized the reason why most people struggle with money is because they don't have a system. You see,
Right.
it's not about how much money you make, because the
Right.
more you make, the more you make, the more you make, guess what starts to happen? You start to spend money
Right.
more and more. You're like, but where's my money at? Here's what people need to do. Saver. S, secure your income with life insurance. You need life insurance is the foundation. You got life insurance for your car.
Yep.
You got car insurance for your car. See, I was just seeing if you paid attention. You got car insurance for your car. You got insurance for your home. You got medical insurance. And some of y'all listening and watching, y'all got insurance on your phone. Yes,
Yep.
you do. But do you have insurance on your income? Because if something happens to you and you're making $80,000 a year or $50,000 a year and you're married with children, how long can your family afford to last without your income?
Right.
But if imagine this, something happens, you leave them with $1 million policy, they can survive and thrive for the next 15 to 20 years. Your children can go to college, not having to worry about the pain and suffering, how they're going to afford it. Maybe they'll even start a business in your name. And
Right.
that's why S is the first step. A, align your savings, right? Align your investments. People have money in their 401k, but they don't know what they're invested in. I say, hey, what are you invested in? Oh, money in my 401k. But what are you buying? I don't know. My employer's handling. And I tell people, so your employer really wants you to retire tomorrow, right? Really, really. So some people are investing in financial instruments that's the equivalent of riding a bicycle going 600 miles. And you know how long it's going to take?
Yep.
Days. While some people get in the airplane to go 600 miles to get to the destination faster. So
Right.
what am I saying? Bonds have an average annual return of 3%. They
Right.
take 24 years to double your money. If you put money in the S&P 500 like an index fund that earns you 9%,
Right.
it takes you on average 8% for your money to double. You see the difference?
Right.
But a
Right.
lot of y'all don't know what you're actually invested in. And you're wondering why your neighbor can retire 20 years before you. Let that sink in. V, vanquish high interest debt. Do you know a 24% credit card that if you make the minimum payment on that thing, you can have a child and your child can actually graduate from college? Huh? Because it takes 20 something years to pay it off, making a minimum payment. So pay it off ASAP. E, empower your tax savings. I don't know about you, but if I was going to make a purchase for $10,000 and someone offered me a 10% discount, the opportunity to save $1,000, I would take it. How about you?
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. So some people are investing in Robinhood and Cash App, buying stocks and everything, which is fine, but you're not getting the tax discounts that comes with it. And when you open up an individual retirement account, then you have a tax savings. The US government will give you a tax discount if you invest and say that you're using an individual retirement account. Now, we don't
Right.
have enough time to get into it, but I do have something for your listeners at the end. And the last one is R, reiterate financial literacy by teaching your kids about finances. Now, there's a saying, if you feed a child, they can eat for a day. But if you teach a child how to fish, they can eat for a lifetime. Folks, Teach your children financial literacy when they're young. Open up a child savings account when they're young. If they're working, have them open up a Roth IRA, but do your research based upon you talking with your tax professional. This is how I manage my money for myself and for my family. So that's how the saver system works.
Wow, this is awesome, Michael. I'm learning a lot. Okay, I agree to that system and I agree to everything that you said. And I would love for you to give me an example. So, you know how you said with that credit card debt,
Yes.
today you do not get any credit card which is less than 20% or 22% interest, right? But let's say, and I've seen that happen with people around me, happen to me when I did not earn a lot of money, that when there's an emergency and you take a chunk of money from your credit card or you swipe it for like 3,000 or $4,000, and that interest keeps building up and you got other things to do, so you're worried about, okay, I'm going to handle this at this minute, but and you make just a minimum payments or maybe little more than that, and that keeps growing. So the example I'm asking from you is, how can a person like that who's having a 9 to 5 job, let's say earning $70,000, but has around 12 to 15,000 in credit card debt, which has like 22% interest, what are some of the ways that they can implement to come out of that debt? And how can they manage their finances better?
And this is perfect. Actually, I have something for your listeners. When they check the comments, they go to michaeldillard.org, and there's a free financial literacy course that I made available. It's worth $1,400. People have access to it free now, in addition to leadership guides, leadership how to lead with impact course, because I realized a lot of times people are just burnt out. They're tired. They don't know what to do, and they're looking for assistance. They're looking for help. And this weekend, I was just thinking, I said, you know what? I want to help people for the next 30 days. So for the next 30 days, when you're listening to this show, make sure you go to michaeldillard.org. There's an access code that will give you 100% off. So to answer the question, it's in the module. There's a module that talks about how to do this. And what I recommend that I've seen work for a lot of people is you do the debt snowball method. The debt snowball
Yeah,
method
I've
works
heard of
like
it.
this. You take your smallest bill, it's balanced. So you got $500 credit card, and then you got a $10,000 car, and then you got, say, $20,000 student loan. Well, you start taking your extra money and apply it towards the smallest bill first.
Yeah.
Now, people say, why not knock out that 22% interest rate on the credit card with the $5,000 balance? Well, you want to start off with the $500 bill first, is because momentum. Psychologically, when you see that you've been able to pay off two of your smallest debts first before you knock out the $10,000 to $5,000 big chunks,
Yeah.
you'll have momentum. You have energy, because you know what they say: objects in motion stay in
Mhm.
motion, and that's what
Yeah.
we want you to do. So you're gonna make sure you take the smallest debt, pay that off first, apply what you were paying towards the small debt and the extra, and apply it to the next debt. And eventually, like a snowball, you can go from extra $200 paying off your bills to an extra $500 paying off your bills. And then in no time, you would have knocked out those high interest credit cards and bills.
Awesome. Great advice. And I've read about it and I actually applied it. So that's awesome. I like when people or coaches give ideas and suggestions that actually work. And I
Yes.
love it when people talk from experience, and you, Michael, looks like you've been there, done that, which is why I appreciate that a lot. So thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.
Moving on. Let's talk about leadership for a little bit. So, you, right now, the workforce is maximum of it is millennials, and millennials. There are certain people who are now in leadership position, and Gen Z is now actually starting to get prepped in their early years, getting experience to become leaders. But the other day, I read an article that said they did a survey and they did a study and they found out that Gen Z, there's a lot of people in there that they've seen so much, like the culture, corporate culture, and how things work, that they prefer to be individual contributors and they don't want to take up leadership positions just because they think it's too much. They're okay to take a pay cut and be like, okay, I'm fine what I'm doing right now. I don't want to be a leader. So, what advice would you give to people who want to be in a leadership position but are scared, thinking that they will not be able to handle the pressure? Or what are some of the ideas to avoid burnout?
Yeah, that's a good question. And here's what I recommend for them to have a coach. The reason why is that that's what changed my leadership style. I was working in overseas in South Africa. I was a regional controller for Angola, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Namibia, and South Africa.
Wow.
As the financial controller, helping over 400 of the staff make sure that they have money to pay for their trips, make sure the $1 million projects were being paid for, and etc. There was a lot of things happening all the time.
Right.
And I was always working. I was burnt out. And then I had a coach. And once I had a coach, I was able to reset how I was going to interact with other people. As a result, I got my time back. I was able to log off at 5 o'clock, log back in at 8 in the morning. Imagine that. I got my time back. On the weekends, I was able to relax. And it was because I had a coach. And the benefit of having a coach is that they help you to become the best version of yourself and they
Yeah.
help you to identify opportunities for growth.
Mhm.
And they also challenge your mindset. So sometimes leaders might say, I don't know if I can do it. Why? Why do you say that? Well, I'm not a good communicator. Well, why do you think that? Who said you're not a good communicator? Because you're having a conversation with me right now. And actually, when you gave the presentation to X, Y, and Z, you did a great job. Now
Yeah.
the person starts to reflect, yeah, you know what? Maybe the person who said I wasn't a good communicator
Yeah.
was my cousin who doesn't even have a job, you know?
Right, right. I agree 100%. I tell people all the time, don't shy away from giving compliments because you never know how you're helping the other person in front of you. They might be having a bad day, or they might be having, they're going through something where they think 90% of the time people think they're not good at something and they're just going with the flow. But when you compliment someone, like you said, after a presentation or after a good meeting that they facilitated or whatever, it helps and it shows when it boosts their confidence. So yeah, thank you, Michael. Before we end, I want to ask you, is there any advice that you would give to our listeners or viewers in terms of financial literacy, and in terms of saving, or anything, any easy tip that they can do right now to get out of to be to get financial freedom?
Oh, perfect. Here's the most important thing. There's this new saying by me, Michael Dillard. It's called this. Here's what it's called. Financial literacy is the new currency, Sheikha. Financial literacy is the new currency. Why? Because he who understands it earns it. You see, a lot of
Right.
times Einstein said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And when you change it to money, he who understands money earns money. But the problem is people don't have financial literacy. So they're falling for all these fake tricks. They're thinking that they can take $10,000 and have that money double every 24 hours. It doesn't work. It's like taking a penny and say, hey, let's trade. Give me $10,000 and I'll let you get 100% return once a year. Or give me a penny and you're going to match the penny every day. So today is a
Right.
penny. Tomorrow, give me another is two. Now it becomes four. People are like, no, I'll take the 10,000 with the 100% return every year versus the penny that keeps doubling every day. And as I can see you shaking your head, you want that penny that doubles every day, right?
Right.
Exactly, because it's financial literacy. So go to michaeldillard.org. There's a free financial resource. It's 5 simple steps, folks. I made it easy because I understand there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of too many do this and do that, buy this, and then you can borrow against this, and then you can do this. What? You can't even repeat it. People are buying financial items that they can't even explain to their 2-year-old. And that's why I made the financial information easy peasy to understand.
Wow. Thank you so much, Michael. This has been amazing. I really appreciate you taking out time to be a guest on our show, Michael. And thank you for these amazing tips and suggestions. Now, listeners and viewers, you know where to go. I will also add Michael's links and all the resources that he spoke about in this episode in the description box. So make sure you check that out. And again, Michael, thank you so much for your time and thank you for being on our show.
My pleasure.
If you're new here, welcome to the podcast. And if you've been with us for quite some time, do not forget to subscribe so that you get to listen and tune into more action packed episodes like this. As always, keep growing, keep glowing, and be yourself. This is your host, Sheekha Singh, signing off. Bye.